And it's recording on my end, maybe.
All right.
Okay.
Yay! We're back with episode 4 of
We're
She Talks
doing
Salad.
this.
I know. We've done it for 1 solid month.
Isn't that crazy?
That is very exciting. Actually, it's incredibly exciting. People ask me lately, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, a lot of things, but the thing I'm most excited about is my podcast.
Yeah,
And
no.
and I actually like it being on YouTube because
Yeah.
I think that's more, like, it's easier to watch for some people because some
Yeah.
people need to see expressions. I think there's a connection to it. So if you're listening on the podcast, we have a YouTube channel.
You too.
And it's good. So, all right, Lauren.
All
Take
right,
over.
you ready?
Yeah.
Taking over. Oh, gosh. No pressure.
No, none at all. You're good.
All right. So we were talking before we started recording, and you were sharing your story about yesterday. And do you want to start by just kind of giving the bird's eye view or that story, and then we can go from
Yeah.
there? Okay.
So, we, my bird's eye views are always like real big. We bought a house almost 2 years ago in a new subdivision. And so it is sand, a little topsoil, sod. And so, and our yard is like a pretty steep hill that honestly, it needs stairs put into it, which at
Yep.
some point we will put them in. And, which I'm affiliated with the group that we're going to put them in with. It's called Dirt Locker. So
Nice.
we'll add that to the show notes because they're a great resource for people who have hillside erosion problems. So there's been a lot of research on how to convert our hill from a sad zone to a place
zone. I love that.
a place that
Sorry.
doesn't make me like depressed, because it's literally like right when you look out my back door, it is like the death patch is right out our back door. So it's luscious on one side and then semi lush on the other side, but right out the back window is just brown and
Dead.
sad. And it's, oh man, it legitimately upsets me a lot of times because we live in a new neighborhood and our grass just got diseased and it's on a hillside, so it didn't get enough water, and the sand kind of like took over. So we've been looking at options for fixing our yard, and like I said, Dirt Locker is one of them, but I don't want to do the whole yard in that. I have a very specific purpose for those.
Yep.
So we've been looking at other options on what we can do. So I have a friend that I go to church with who owns a rock and material company out here in Parker County. And so I've been kind of creeping at his shop. And yesterday I spent an hour and 15 minutes at the shop, which honestly is not that long when you think of how many rocks and options and tonnage and measurements and all these things you have to come up with to, like, and I think we over ordered rock, but the girl said we should over order, and then if you like don't use it all, then you can call us and we'll figure out what to do. She's like, you'd rather have more than need to buy more. And I was like,
especially when it's coming out on a dump truck.
Yeah, because then you have to pay like $75 for the shipment for one pallet. So we, I'm grateful. They were super helpful, but I spent 4 figures yesterday.
Yeah.
I almost said 6 figures. I didn't spend that. I spent like $2,200 to get the rock, which was budgeted. It's something we've been talking about doing for a long time. It's something we had the money for. We've had multiple landscapers out here quote us. I know I can do the work myself. But like literally right now my chest is like just shrinking, it feels like. So I purchased the rock, got everything set up, and I told the girl, because I was deciding between a brown rock and a white rock. So my house is white, black, and cedar. So the white rock has the cedar coloring, white and gray. The brown rock has like the cedar color. And it's really, both of them are beautiful. They're going to look good. But a lot of the free stone that we've been given from the builders in our neighborhood, because so they put Austin stone on the houses, matched the white stone that I picked, which was cheaper. And I told the girl, I need this rock to fix my problem, like my sadness. in my backyard. And I was putting pressure on this rock, like literally on stone, to make me not be sad when I go outside. And like I told you,
I turn it into a diamond.
Yeah.
Just all that pressure.
I'm not even asking it to do very much. And I was telling her yesterday, like, I need this rock to fix me, like to fix my feelings about my backyard. But I told you, I go outside when I'm sad. So I'm going to take like sad vibes outside. And then, so it was just this weird thing that like I needed to have this yard that people kind of, I don't really want to say it idolize, but like wanted to be in or wanted for themselves. Which last summer, I think 4 of my neighbors got pergolas. And you better believe I was like, we are getting it quoted. We're extending our patio and all these things. And
those are expensive.
They are so. The rock is 1/10 of the price that we were quoted for extending our patio and getting a pergola. Oh, yeah. And where the pergola would go is shaded 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like like right now it's sunny, and in about 2 hours, half of it will be shaded, and then it will just continually move to like full shade. Which is part of the problem because grass won't grow there because it's so shaded. And then it's the bottom of the hill, so the water sits and it doesn't dry. It's just a problem area. And so, but I wanted to have like the backyard that my neighbors were getting so that we could all have like nice backyards and people would want to come hang out with me. And it was like, it wasn't practical.
Yeah.
Because you get a pergola because it's sunny and this is a shaded area. It wasn't affordable. Like, I think the pergola quote we got was $19,000.
That's like baseline.
Yeah, and that was like, I didn't get the one I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, the one I want, you can like close it and open it and all the things. And it was just like all about me and like my ego and being able to have it where it's like this item makes me more valuable. When really that's not how it is. How it works in a broken society which we live in.
Yeah.
But it's like, as a believer, I know my value doesn't come from having a pergola or having a super nice patio. Like, I want the patio so I can move my patio furniture onto it and it not be in the mud. And like not have a mud pit that my kids, because they're kids and we've let them do it because like my husband and I both are like, who cares? It's a yard. Like, yes, ideally we want to have green, luscious backyard that we just mow, but we don't have that because, our builder
didn't plan that out.
And we've gotten to know him, and sadly, his wife actually just passed away. His cousin built our house. Our house is the only house his cousin built. And so the landscaping's not up to his quality. There's just a couple things off that his cousin did for our house that our builder, who owns the company, doesn't do. But his wife was sick in the hospital full time at that point. So it's like, I really can't even be mad at him for not putting in like, because it's like, how selfish am I to say like, well, my house should look better, but you shouldn't have worried about your wife. Like, it was just this weird thing. It's like, who cares? It's just a freaking yard. So we have this like dead patch that when the neighborhood was being built, it was just construction trucks. And we weren't super comfortable with our kids riding the bike around construction zones. So we let them ride their bike in our backyard. So we know why our yard is dead. Like, our kids literally would ride their bike up the hill and ride them down and like slam into the patio over and over. So,
hours of entertainment.
Yeah. The sad zone right out the window is where they rode their bikes and where they sledded down the hill this Christmas and where they will, like, because it's the steepest part of the yard. And so when it rains, if it's really rainy, they can sit there and actually slide down the hill on their butts in the mud.
Like a water slide?
Yes. Which is funny, and I don't care because they're kids and they're supposed to be able to do that kind of stuff because at some point you outgrow it and the grass grows back.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so I I totally picture, okay, so like, you have the sad zone.
Yeah, it's so, but
And,
it's like it's sad
but
because my ego is like, ew, your yard is ugly and people are gonna see this dead. But as a mom, I'm like, that is dead and ugly because my kids have
lived life.
enjoyed. Yeah, they've taken all the life out of it because they've enjoyed it so much.
But like, I totally picture having like an archway with like a banner that like says sad zone.
Da, 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 da.
But it's like where the racing starts and where the
Yes, it is pretty much. And right at the bottom of it, there's like this little weird luscious patch. And then on the other side of that, it's just like dead, mucky pit. Like it's deeper than the rest of the yard because they'll slide there and then they'll just jump in this pit and like dig it down further. But it, it's just a yard. And like I said, it's sad.
A big deal, like do the sad zone, like every time you look out your window, you'll be annoyed, but then you'll look up and go, okay, yeah. And just laugh.
Like, they're living their, like sometimes I'm like, just go outside. I don't care what you do. It's like during the ice storm that we just had in January. Yeah, in January. The end of January. I don't know if y'all guys got it as bad as we. Okay, I figured that everyone.
We were shut down for like a week.
Yes, same here. So we, like, we have a hill, and so we were sledding in our own backyard, and it was wonderful. Well, when it all started melting, I was like, oh no, we destroyed the yard. Just it awfulness. Well, and they like took the have a friend who's from up north, and she's like, what are those bamboo sticks in your yard? I was like, they were tiki torches, but my children used them as ski poles.
Yep.
So they would like hike up the icy hill with these tiki torches and then sit on a old like tumbling mat and slide down.
Yep.
So it was like all the trash sunk into the mud and
the tiki torches here are like markers for like relay races and different like or obstacle courses.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Because
we don't really. I bought them because they were like 50 cents each.
Yeah.
At the end of summer, I'm
like Walmart.
Yeah.
At the end of like the summer sales.
End of summer when it was, like it's still going to be 100 degrees, but we're going to put the fall coats out now. Yeah. I love living in Texas for that reason. So I'm like, I get like summer stuff for like 90% off for 2 extra months. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, it totally works. Yeah, but we have, so here on our property, I mean, we have a lot more space, but like we have, like, it's clay out here and it's like sticky and it's just everywhere. And I'm like, there's no avoiding it. Like, I want my kids to go outside at all.
Yep. And that's what they're getting in.
Yeah. And it's trapped houses. Yeah. Even if they're not being obnoxious. There are times that like I've had kids literally paint themselves with mud.
Clay masks.
Because they're hippos. And they're using sun protectant. Thank you, Wildcrats.
Yes. Shout out to educational TV.
Yeah. And sure enough, he didn't burn where there was stuff on him. And so I'm like,
oh, that's weird.
No, yeah, it's a literal sun protectant. It's like there was one time he coated himself, but like he missed a spot, and he's one of my kids who burns, and like there was burnt, but everywhere else he had painted himself, he was fine.
So funny.
And I was just like, you know what? Is stuff disastrous? Yes. But are we all having fun? Oh yeah.
Yes. And there's like this weird, I don't really know what to call it, like this weird pendulum, I guess, in my mind, where it's like homeschool families or even just parents who are trying to raise their kids in like a more holistic way, even if they're public, private, whatever it is. People who are trying to be outside more, trying to like let kids set their natural boundaries, learn those things. I just equate it to homeschool because it's what we're doing. Yeah. So it's like there's this weird thing where it's like, of course your yard looks like crap. Like your kids slide down the hill and they rode their bikes and they rode their skateboards and their scooters and they like, of course it's dead. Like, why are you working to fix it? But so it's like, and why am I working to fix that? I don't, I don't want to lose that, but I do because it drives me nuts. And then there's like this other end where it's like your yard needs to look nice, your kids need to be well behaved, your home should always be cleaned, like you're home all the time. Like, why do you have, clutter and mess? And
because I'm home all the time.
Yeah, so it's like this weird thing where I feel like I want to live on this end of the pendulum swing, but my ego takes me here, and so then I get like keyed up, and I'm like, everyone's gonna like clean their rooms, and we're gonna vacuum, and it's like, oh, who's coming over? No one. Yeah, so it's like I'm just needing to encase someone. Yeah, which isn't gonna happen. It like never happens. And people who just randomly show up at my house deserve to see real life. Like the other day, I posted a reel. That sound bit where it's like, cool thing about kids when they're not in front of the screen, they do something like this.
Yeah.
So, but I used it in like a satire way where they had taken all the mud and clay that I dug up to build, because I tried to build natural stairs with the freestone that we had. Bad choice. Bad choice. So much work, and it just like I just exposed all the clay in the middle of our yard, which made the sad zone. I was like, we have to expedite this. This is so depressing.
Yeah.
And I tried to till it yesterday, and it like literally like scratched the back of the earth instead of turning over dirt. It just, it's okay though, because we know what we need to do. But the kids had like built like clay sculptures, and they dried, and so they were like tossing them in the air and breaking, like seeing if they'd break, and putting them on the swing set and like throwing them. And so I was watching them. I was like, oh, that's sweet. Well, I kept working. And I turned around, and my house is painted white. We have this very large area on the side of the back side of our house that doesn't have windows, doesn't have anything, just handprints, clumps of clay on it. And I was like, we're going to take a video and create some content so that people see this is reality. Like,
oh yeah.
Kids are kids. And so I used that sound bit, and they were like squelching in the mud, and I had them spray it. And when it warms up, I'm supposed to do it this week, but it's 40 degrees. So
right. Mm-hmm.
They're going to wash the house with soapy water.
Yep.
Because we got all the clumps off, but there's still mud stains.
Yeah.
On because it is like bright high gloss white.
Right. Yeah.
On our brick. So I was like, oh my gosh, you guys. But when I look at them now, I'm like, oh, they had fun. They weren't fighting. Yep. They were outside. They were in the sun. Like all the things that I want for my kids was happening. But then it's like my pride, my ego. Like ego and pride are very similar to me. So it's like my pride is like, ugh, like your house is gross. Like that's nasty. And you just have mulch laying in your yard. And so I go out there and I look, and like I start, like beating myself up, like, ew, your side yard has covered in sand, and ew, your flower beds are weeded or full of weeds, not weeded, full of weeds. And so it's like I go through this, and I don't know. It's like I battle with myself because I want people to want to, like, I'm needy. Like I want to spend time with people. I am. I know it. It did work out because now I think I can edit that out.
You can cut that chunk.
I think so. That worked
out very well. We were about ego and pride and how it gets in the way as we like see the different things that don't line up to society's norms.
Yeah, and like I'm needy, so I want people to like, it's really weird. Like I want people to approve of me and praise me and spend time with me and like desire to be like a part of my life. But then I also am like, I don't want people who need my yard to be a certain standard. I don't want people who can't handle dirty. Like it's a very like they counter each other.
Yeah.
Like they don't mesh. It's like I don't want people who need me to live up to some ridiculous home and garden standard.
Yeah.
I don't want those people. Like you can go find your own grouping.
What I have learned, so it took like 3 to 4 kids, probably 4, for me to finally be like, people show up, my house is a mess.
Yeah.
If there's laundry, if there's dirty dishes, That is what it is. And like the more people I've had come into my home and be like, you make me want to open up my home because I don't feel like I have to do it a certain way. Like I've had different women come in and go, your home gave me the like permission to go do this at my own home.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah. There's like a liberation in living life and not like staging it. I had a friend one time so we had like, I had a group of friends, and in this group of friends, there were two ladies. One of them always cleaned her house, kept everything clean. Her and I are very similar. Like, when people come over, we want to put our best foot forward. Like,
yeah, which is a good thing.
Yes. Well, she had, I guess, tasked her children with cleaning the bathroom, which it did not get done. Which is like, that's like kind of one of those big rooms that it's like, please, we can shut all the other doors. People have to use the bathroom.
Yep.
Our other friend had gone to her house for this event, went to the bathroom, and it was like a mess. Like, apparently it was filthy. And she started crying because she's like, she loves us so much, she didn't even clean her bathroom for us. When her name is Katie, when she told our friend Karen, Karen was like, what? The bathroom's messy? And she's like, yeah, no, I'm just so glad you didn't clean it. And like, I just feel so loved by you that you didn't feel the need to like pretend that you live differently, that you live like us. And Karen was like, I'm going to kill him. But like, Katie still talks about this. Was like probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And she still talks about the time that Karen didn't clean the bathroom for that event. And Karen's like, please stop bringing that up. But she's like, it was so important to me to see that, like, it was like a permission. But it's, as an outsider, I can see that story and go, there is importance to that. Like,
yeah, no, it's permission to be human.
Yes.
It's permission to still do life with others, even when we aren't all put together.
Yes. Like, okay, you have clutter on your kitchen counter, but you know, you can still come over. My counter's cluttered, but you're welcome to come over. It's like that thing where
there's
like,
at least a clean cup, and we can get you some water, or we can make some tea.
Yes, exactly.
But there's probably 20 dirty cups laying around too. Yeah. There's 7 of us in this house.
Yes. I do remember when we went to your house, it was like you were renovating something. One of the pipes had burst in I think it's your room now. At the time, it wasn't your room. The pipes had burst. I think you had just gotten brownie. It was raining that day, so it was like mud everywhere. And I remember like when we left, the kids were like, that was so fun. Can we go back? Because, sorry, to them, like to kids, the importance was the connection. Like they played Legos with their friends. Well, the Legos were already out.
Yep, like, all over the place.
And it was so convenient. It wasn't like, it was funny because anytime we've gone to a house like that, that's messy. And like, not that you're, but it's like,
no, you're fine. It was messy.
Well, my house is a disaster, and I have a neighbor who's like, your house is always so clean. I'm like, why don't you come over on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
Like, maybe. I stage my house because it's just my own ego. I do. And when I don't, it makes people feel more like, less intimidated. Yeah. Maybe is the term. And so they were like, that was so fun. Are we going to go back? And I was like, no, not anytime soon, because they live like an hour away from us. Yeah. Like, it's a very far drive. If we lived near them, it'd be different. And when we looked at moving out there, it was an option, but I was like, man, that's, one, it's really far. 2, it doesn't have the community that we were looking for. And so that's why it got taken off the list. Like, you would have been my only source of community. And I'm like, what if we like decided we don't like each other, spending time together? Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But the kids genuinely, like, absolutely loved it. And when I told them that it was you that I was doing the podcast with, they were like, with all the boys that we gave the lizard to? I was like, yeah. They're like, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we made room for Lizzie, and that was it. When y'all came, like, we cleared a wall.
Is she still around?
Yeah.
Okay. We were thinking about her the other day. I'm like, I wonder if she's still alive. I bet she's doing great. She was kind of a turd to us, but
Yeah, she's fun. Yeah, my last time my haircut was when you did it. That's why
I
my
was.
hair.
I guess I'll just have to come out and
Yeah, because
cut your
you
hair
like
again.
it was like chin length by the time you
Yeah,
left.
yeah, we cut it real short. Um, yeah, but there's like this. It's so. It's like this internal battle, and I think people who don't struggle with ego issues, and ego is like a broad term, so I think everyone has ego issues,
Okay.
but a lot of times it's like for Jeff, it's and I'm not going to speak too much to it because I don't know honestly a lot, but like he weighed 500 pounds in high school, so he has body dysmorphia, and so
Yeah.
he's incredibly strong. He's done powerlifting, he's done bodybuilding, he's done all these things. So like his ego attaches to like his respect
Yep.
of like his knowledge in what he does. And so for him, he wants the house to look nice when people come over, but it's like, okay, I don't really care.
Yeah.
His main thing is the bathroom, but he
Which is
doesn't like
fair.
using a dirty bathroom. Like,
Which is fair.
yeah, I'm like, I get that. And like, my kids, like Jason doesn't care what he wears. He wears the most outrageous outfits. And I'm like, cool, dude. Because
Yep.
as a homeschool mom, I'm like, you should have a better fashion sense. Should is a big word. You should have a better, like, you should know how to dress. You should know how to do this. You should.
Yep.
Because we're homeschooled and it all dumps back on me. But it's like, no, it doesn't. I'm
Yeah.
not dressing my 12-year-old son. He's been dressing himself since he was like 4.
Yep.
And I think honestly, since he was like 3, he's been dressing himself.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dude, why don't, like, I had a friend recently tell me, I can't wait till he's 20 and he sees pictures of himself now. And I was like, yeah, that'll be funny. And I thought, I hope when he's 20, he doesn't care what he looked like at 12. Like, I hope that he doesn't look back at this time period where he was the freest to be himself and enjoy life and think, oh my gosh, I look like an idiot. And you're 12. Of course you look like an idiot.
I know.
Like
I just want my kid to look back and go, oh my gosh, sweet self. Because like I see like 14-year-olds on TikTok. Well, not on TikTok, so I don't actually watch TikTok, but Reels.
Yes.
Because I'm an old person, so I get TikTok when it gets to Instagram.
Yes, that is secondhand TikTok.
Yes. But like I see them and I'm like, I was not capable of doing any of that.
No.
I would not have worn any of those things.
No.
And I'm like, I never looked put together. Like,
no.
I see toddlers now with like their like preppy outfits. I was like, I literally had like 2-piece sweats that my mom would like iron on stuff and then like trace with like the puffy paint.
Yep. Oh, dude. Yep.
Like that was me rocking it.
Yes, because it was some good stuff.
Or like the dresses with the matching scrunchies.
Yes, like, those are back, and also so is puffy paint.
I know. Yeah. The 90s are coming back.
Which this is so offensive.
A little bit, yeah. But I'm like, I want my kids to look back and go, sure, I may have looked funny, but like I was fine with it. Like I don't have any embarrassment linked to like back then, but I definitely wasn't a put together kid. Like I was never.
Yeah, I think I've just always been like a people pleaser, and so I wanted people to like me, and if that meant that I had to dress a certain way or whatever, it kind of naturally just created this own like we talked earlier, ego is like a root for anxiety for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just, I was like, oh, I think you mean well by that comment, but I genuinely hope that my son doesn't care what he looked like at 12 years old. Like, he has a freaking mullet right now. Like, I don't.
Oh, all of my kids have very different, unique hairstyles. And I'm like, and I'm the one cutting them. So I'm even like more like, oh God. Like, because not only, and the thing is, I'm checking with them throughout it. Like, do you like this? Do you?
Yeah.
And I get it to what they like and they're comfortable with. But I'm like, if you go to the church and you're like, my mom cut my hair. It's like,
have you ever seen that meme of it's a sloth, like the sloth that has like the hair, like its hairline is like right across its forehead real high up, and it said when your mom cut your hair and she says you're a handsome boy. It's like a chili bowl.
My brother had like a legit chili bowl.
Oh yeah, so did my brother. We had like a chili bowl that you cut the hair.
Yeah, you literally.
Jason kind of wants one, but all those haircuts are like iconic kind of things now. And so he's like, I'll do that. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god. But he likes the length of his hair. What was that?
That was a fly walking across.
I was like, that wasn't a cat. That wasn't a dog. What was that?
No, that was definitely a fly.
That's hilarious. Ugh, spring. Ugh.
Yep.
He wants his hair long because he has really pretty red hair, but he doesn't like it in his eyes or on his ears. So
it's like trimmed.
It's like, yeah, it because he kept going, I'm gonna cut here and here. I was like, that's a mullet. And we had this whole loop. And so when I was cutting it, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, people are gonna make fun of us. And then I also had this idea where I'm like, oh well, like now we're a mullet family. Like everyone out here has mullets, so now we're cool. And it's just countering
nothing like
thoughts.
Motherhood to make you like face your stuff
and
allow your kids to be kids.
Yes, and not put it on them.
In order to grow yourself.
Yeah, like yesterday when I was having that panic attack about spending the money, I was like I told you, I was like having a hard time catching my breath, and because it's like I need these rocks to fix my backyard and to fix like to make sure that people want to spend time out there. All these really like intrusive like thoughts, and so it gave me anxiety, which gave me a panic attack in the middle of HEB, which is not the place to have a panic attack. Because when I have them, I'm like trying to like in very breathe. Loud, audible breaths, and I can't help it because I have to do it. And it happened when I was getting apples, and Laurel's like, Mom, well, there was a lady who was like, excuse me, I need to get by, and Laurel was at the cart, and I'm like, Laurel, scoot back. And so she kept trying to scoot the cart, and it was, she was just having a hard time.
Yeah.
So I pushed the cart for her, and I had to take a deep breath, and she's like, I'm sorry that you're mad. And I was like, oh, okay. I need to get it together. Mm-hmm. And I had to explain to her, like, no, I'm scared that what we just bought isn't going to help. And I had to kind of like walk her through why I was upset. And so, and she's such a tender person that when we got home, she was like, Baba, Mommy had to spend $2,000 and she's scared. So like, it was just, it was really sweet. She was trying to like encouraging, and Jason was like, oh, I'm so excited. They were really supportive. But having to explain to her what a panic attack, feels like it. Why am I breathing like that? I'm not mad at you. Those aren't sighs of like anger. I just am being ridiculous, and I need rocks to fix my life right now, and I'm putting pressure on them. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, because she doesn't have those kinds of issues, so she's like, okay. What's wrong with you? Mom. They're just rocks. Like, our yard's great. We can slide on our butt in the mud, so why are you trying to fix it?
Why are you fixing this amazing thing?
Why are you messing with a good thing, lady? I have a feeling they're not going to be super thrilled. I'm like, oh, sorry. No more play zone in the dead zone. That's okay, though. They have a swing set, a little area to play in that's just sand.
There you go.
But life is good. Yeah, so ego is because like my logical brain, the person I'm striving more to be, not that I'm not logical, but the person like the thought patterns I'm striving to have that are not based in fear and anxiety and self-doubt. When I work to rid myself of them, those like thoughts of like ego and pride that kind of like take root and try to spread out are really counter to what I actually want for myself. And so it's funny to see myself as like two different people. It's like two different brains are having this conversation, and me, it's like these rocks aren't going to fix my problem. They're not going to fix my life. They're going to fix an issue that is flooding and a muddy dead patch, which is what we're buying them for. But people aren't going to like buy tickets to get into my backyard to spend time with me because I'm so wonderful.
And your
Also,
backyard is so lovely.
my backyard needs to be photographed. No, my dog is laying literally. I have my back windows open. I can see her. She's laying in a hole from a previous plant because she's a hound dog. So she
It's
just
cold.
she lays in the sun in a hole. She like digs, whatever. And that's not a problem. I have a dog that digs but doesn't dig up anything. She just digs to lay in dirt because
It's
she's a
because
hound
it's
dog.
cooler.
Yeah, and so, it's like
doesn't matter right now, but in the summer it does matter.
Yeah, and so it's like I have to remember, logical me has to remember that I have a dog that digs, not up plants. She just, like, when I unearth dirt, she's like, yes, dirt.
New fresh dirt.
And she lays in it, and then I have kids who play in the backyard, and we spend time out. So I have these two, reason, like logic and ego and pride. And I really try to shut ego and pride out, but sometimes she gets in there and, like, is a soul crusher. And so.
I think it's great that, like, when you're self-aware and you can see that, and you can then go, okay, how do I maneuver through this?
Yes.
And maybe sometimes ego can be beneficial because it doesn't leave you stagnant or in mediocrity because you're striving for better.
Yeah.
But then you don't so lock in that you can't appreciate what you have.
Yeah.
And you can't see the beauty in the sad zone. Because even as you were talking about it earlier, like, it's sad, but then you start telling all the stories of, like, what that area has been for your kids. And, like, your countenance even changed. Like, and it can be both. Like, that's the thing about life, is it can be both.
Yeah, it can be. And it's tiring. It's tiring. Like, it's so tiring.
And so learning how to, like, integrate it.
Yes.
And utilize both.
I want a nice yard. There's no shame in wanting a nice yard.
Nope.
There's no shame in wanting people to spend time with me in my backyard because I've worked very hard on it. And actually, I don't feel any shame at all. It's just kind of comical at this point because I know I seem like two different people talking.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want it to look nice for me, but I want to present it to other people as like a space where they want to come, where they don't feel. But like like when we went to your house and Legos were everywhere, and it was like you had a muddy puppy, and I felt just as welcome as I do in houses that are. I actually almost feel more welcome in houses that are like that than I do the ones that are
staged and pristine.
Yeah, and so it's this weird, like, being authentic and self-aware and trying to figure out what is the right balance.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good thing.
It's a tricky
Yes, but I already gave you all the directions of what yes. I'm almost done. Just go. Not sure if you picked them up. They were running laps earlier.
I didn't hear that.
Then they just made air pop popcorn. And now they're asking if they can watch National Geographic.
Nicely done, boys.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was editing my last interview and I was listening to the kids in the background and I was like, oh my gosh. And that's what kind of reminded me of ego. It's like, I was so concerned if people were going to get anything from what I was saying. And it was like, but I didn't start the podcast so that people like flocked to me. I started it so that I could speak life into issues that plague me, and I'm not alone in this world. Like, I know that. And so it was like this weird, almost like listening to it as a listener. I was able to see, like, one, I live in a real home with real kids who are disobedient, but they're not malicious. They just are kids.
They're kids. They're needy kids.
And so it was like, I was worried that people were like, I made it about me, like making sure my ego was like gonna get stroked.
Yeah.
When it was, my turn to talk. And it's just weird to own that I have ego issues because I never thought that I did. And now I'm like, no, I'm fully aware. I have major ego issues. I don't know if it's because I'm a people pleaser or what.
I was actually about to say that.
I think it is because I don't really like. I went through counseling and I was like, I just want my sorry, mom and dad. I just want my parents to be approve me and love me and all these things. And then within a couple months of that conversation, because I was in a weird spot and I felt like I wasn't the focal point for their admiration, and so that's not why I was in counseling. I was in counseling for something else. That conversation just came up. But separately, both my parents gave me compliments on something that I was doing, and when they said it, I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I don't actually care. Thank you for And it was God was like, you don't need anyone's approval to walk in the path that I've set before you. I've set one out for you, and the right people will come along.
Yep.
And the wrong people will fall off. And so it was not that my parents are wrong people, they are.
No,
But it's when they were I think my mom was I'm just super impressed. We went to my old babysitter's funeral. She was my gamey. I went on vacation with her, all this stuff. And she was it was just super impressive to watch you talk to these people that you know like a little kid, and just reconnect with them and spend time with these new faces and all stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Thank you. Then I got home and I was like, why wouldn't I have done that? Because my nature, that's my natural bend, is to connect. And so, but it's not hers. And so it is, but it's different. Hers is a different form. And then my dad had said something about the retail stuff that I'm doing. He had mentioned to someone, and he was she finds the neatest stuff. And I was like, oh. And looking back now, I'm that was really nice. He didn't have to tell anyone I was doing that. But when he said it, I was like, oh, okay. That was nice, but I enjoy it. I'm good at it. And so it's this weird what I thought I wanted, what I thought would make me feel more like my ego is if your parents approve of you, then you'll be, that'll be good. Yeah. And when they did, when they both gave me compliments in separate areas at separate time frames, I was like, okay, thank you, but okay. It was a very strange feeling to realize I did not need their approval to continue on the path that I've been set out on. And I think that's that self-aware piece that you're talking about, and walking in the path that's set forward for you. Sometimes your ego tries to pull you, because I think that pride, ego is a work of the enemy, and so it tries to deter you. Nobody cares what you're doing, or nobody will spend time with you because of this or whatever.
What you have to say isn't valuable. Things
yes, exactly. Nobody's gonna listen to this. This is dumb. I can't wait for the year to be over so you can be done with it. Those kinds of things are thoughts that I've had.
Yep.
And it's when you're self-aware and able to say okay, but this isn't about me. Mm-hmm. This podcast, yes, I created it, and yes, we were collaborating and all the things, but it's not about me. Ultimately, it's about helping people find hope in hopelessness, and speaking life into situations that sometimes the church doesn't do a good job speaking life into. Unhealthy churches don't do a good job speaking life into. Healthy churches, like the one I'm a part of, and I think you're part of a healthy church now.
To be determined. We're not officially a part of any church. The boys go to Awana, and I'm actually starting a Bible study book thing today. It's the first time I've been at a church for me in 8 years.
Nice. So I'm very happy for you.
Thanks. I'm a little nervous.
I know. Well, you haven't been inside of a church for 8 years, and so the natural inclination is maybe I shouldn't go. I'm so far removed, and
it's what's keeping me going is the boys are making friends, and this is an opportunity to meet the other moms of said kids.
So important. Sometimes I feel like kids are what get parents in church.
Oh yeah.
And then the parents find their support, and they find friends, and they find, the beauty of the church, the community, the support, especially of healthy churches. And so I'm very excited for you because it's,
yeah.
even if you don't love the church, you still have made connections with people that your children are enjoying spending time with.
And I do a lot for the kids that I would hide in a hole and not do if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, there's actually a song called Appalachian Wine by, I'm going to have to look it up because it reminds me of kind of that thing. Because I think kids remove your ego. Naturally, kids take the ego away. I don't even know how to spell Appalachian. Here we go. Here we go. So, by this band called Appalachian Wine by 11D7.
Okay.
I think it's such a funny name. I'm going to read the lyrics towards the end. It actually like makes me cry when I listen to the song because it's just, honestly, it's a really beautiful like metaphor. It talks about creation and how like Mother Earth and Father Time, or Mother Earth and Father Time, were like the first creations of Christ, which isn't true, but they were. We don't have to get like on that tangent.
No.
But talking about how like they were part of like the first part of creation, and they had two kids, fire and wind. And I really need to find the lyrics. Okay. It says, they raised a little hell before they fell in love, or before they fell in line. And then, so they had kids. Fire came out with a restless soul that only got worse as he got older. And it talks about how, like, this behavior is breaking your mom's heart. And Wind was born to an open sky with a bad temper and a wandering eye. Earth said, listen here, my child. I used to run that wild. It's hard to put a finger on the pain, but you can't outrun a thing like shame. And so it's like these feelings that as an adult I have felt. Like, I've been fire, I've been wind. And okay, this is the part that makes me cry when I listen to it, so we'll keep it together. It says, then time and earth got on their knees and prayed, dear God, oh, can't you see? Fire's too hot, the wind's too cold, and loving them's gonna kill us both. Then God reached down and took their hands, dried their tears, and smiled and said, that's kind of what it's like up here for me. Loving them will cost you everything. And so, like, it really genuinely makes me, like, choke up when I think about my kids, because it's like, if I didn't have kids, I would be, like, a completely different person. But the Lord has gifted me with my kids to break me, to reshape me, and to show me his, because I can't fathom someone else loving my kids more than I do and wanting to protect them more than I do, but God does. And so it's like this weird, like, they've broken my ego and I've done things outside of myself for the betterment of them. And so it's like you're saying, like, you're going to meet these kids' moms because your kids are enjoying time with them. This is something outside of you. This is not a Lauren thing. This is a mom thing.
This is,
and absolutely. It's like, but that's how it goes with kids. And like being self-aware, because you could be selfish and you could be like, okay, great, I'll drop you off at Awana's and I'll never meet these people.
Yeah. And like, and the things I've tried even at Awana's as much as possible, but I have two that don't go to class, so like actually engaging with people is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
In this round, they actually have childcare for all 5 of them, and so
that's amazing. So Finn will go. Gets to go.
Yeah.
Yay! I know. I'm weird because
I go back and forth here.
You're fine. Well, it's like at some point it'll be what it is, and I think our lives will just be exposed. But I'm like, Anyways, so they have childcare.
So, and I don't know if it'll be like everyone's together because number 4 is also like, I don't want to be without a brother, and so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But they're very accommodating. They've tried very hard to welcome our family in.
That's amazing.
And I've even told them, like, this is the first time we've ever consistently done really anything was a church, and I haven't like fully divulged like why.
Yeah. And this is not a home church, this is a church. Like
Mm-hmm.
a, not that home churches aren't churches, so please don't hear me say that if
Yeah,
you've been
yeah,
to home church. But this is a like
yeah,
paid staff
yeah,
run building
yeah.
church.
It's and so it's just one of those, and they've like paid for the older boys to go to Urban Air. They've done,
Oh,
because at one point I was like, well, they did one thing, it was like $10 a kid. I'm like, I can do that. But then the next thing was like $25 a kid. And I was like,
I have
I was supposed to
5.
pay as well, and it's only older too,
Okay.
but I was still like, that's $50. And I don't,
Yeah.
and do I pick one kid? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
And so the director was like, it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
Can they please come? And I was like,
See,
okay.
when the people pour into your kids like that and they're like, we want them included, it changes like
Yeah.
that. It makes it hard to be a consumer
Mhm.
when the people who are in leadership are wanting to bring you in and not like,
Yep.
oh, you're like a part of us now, but like, we
But they
want you
care.
here.
Yeah. No, they've
We want your
cared.
boys to participate. We want, and so
Mhm.
that's really very sweet.
Yeah, they've been amazing. Like they've been very intentional to reach out. When Finn's surgery was supposed to happen, she reached out like the day of it, and she was like, I just wanted to let you know I've been praying for you guys. And I was like, I forgot to tell you it was canceled, because she was trying to bring us dinner that night too. And
Oh,
I was like, that's incredible. Like, because we don't have people
yeah,
out here,
yeah.
and so it was. I mean, I'm very grateful. This is getting longer. We may want to.
It's okay. I was thinking maybe once a month we can have like just one topic that is heavier for
Longer.
us because
Yeah.
I feel like ego wasn't really a heavy one for you.
No.
Okay. And so it's like it can just be longer because I feel like the conversation's been well
Yeah,
and
no, I think it's been great, and I think it's one of those, like I was saying, the kids have like shifted my ego, like,
yes. When
and
when you're still in the ego state though, it feels like they break you.
oh, at times for sure.
I feel like I went through a phase in motherhood where I was like, I don't even know who I am. I'm just a mom. And it's like, well, that's on me. Like I dove headfirst into motherhood because I wanted to make sure I did it good.
Yep.
Um, but I lost who I was, and so like my kids, thankfully, are seeing me like kind of rediscover
Hmm.
me, and so they're able to pick up on that freedom that's
Oh
just
yeah.
kind of like in, you know, self discovery. But I kind of wish that they had, like, I don't wish that they hadn't experienced it, but I wish that I hadn't lost me.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I'd have been able to stay, but I didn't know who I was at 20. I was 20.
I know
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing.
anybody
It's like,
knows who they are at 20.
yeah. I mean, I feel like I think motherhood gets a bad rap because they talk about it, like you lose yourself in motherhood
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in ways, like I definitely felt that, but like you said, I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
We were broke. Like,
Bro, like the kind of broke that, yeah.
oh, yeah. And how was I supposed to do anything different?
Yeah.
Um, and I was trying to figure out married life,
Mm.
and I was still very much a child. And so like I've grown up with my kids.
Hmm. And that's
And
such a beautiful thing
yeah,
to be able to do.
yeah. And I'm like, I definitely think it took like 3 to 4 kids to finally like break me and go, okay, I need to carve out time
Hmm.
for me. But also I really like this mom thing. Like the
Yeah.
amount of stuff that I see that's like, self-care, and self-care is not bad,
No.
but often it goes into self-indulgent.
And it's selfishness and it's not
And
self care. It's, yeah,
yeah,
it's indulgent.
and I'm like, I would rather spend time with my kids. Like
Hmm.
people go on like I have people that I follow or whatever that go on multiple trips a year without their children, or
Hmm.
they're like prolonged periods of time. I get today like three. One, I have to be with my husband.
Yeah.
And two, I'm like, I'm kind of ready to see him again.
Yeah. Like even when when we go to back where I'm from Arlington, not that it's that far away, but it's like an hour trip.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a couple like thrift stores that I've always found good stuff at. And so I'll leave my kids and I used to like, see ya. But now I'm like, man, I genuinely enjoy spending time with these little, like, they drive me nuts. Like, I'm like, I'm gonna run away.
Oh gosh.
Like, Jason woke up at 10 this morning, and I was like, bro, I'm so glad you're in a good mood. Bring it down. He's like, yes, ma'am. Because some mornings he'll, like, barrel out of his room, like, full. And it sounds bad, but some mornings I'm not there. And so I need him to, like, you gotta bring it down, bring the energy down, or it's going to turn into high, bad energy.
Yep.
And so he's like, okay. And he calmed down, and they're fine. And, like,
and that's teaching your kid how to self-regulate, teaching your kid how to read other people and realize they have impact on the world around them.
Skills that he is not strong in.
Yeah.
And so it's like social spy. That's the term our friend uses, social spy. But yeah, it's very I just had a thought and I was going to say it, but I didn't want to interrupt you because I'm very bad at that. We were talking about kids and how they like this like motherhood is like this, like it becomes this all-consuming identity.
Yep.
And I was reading something last night that basically was like, to the mom who's struggling with basically how pointless some of the stay-at-home mom routine is. I was like, I almost started crying last night. And I am kind of an emotional person, but I don't cry a lot. Like, I get choked up, but I don't cry a lot. But it was like, how many meals have we made that haven't been eaten? And how many loads of laundry have we washed because our kids, like, sneezed outside and changed their clothes? You know what I mean? Like, just dumb, monotonous, routine stuff. And I was thinking just now about that bit, because it's like, it is really pointless, some of it, but it's not pointless.
No.
It's for me, it detaches my value from my acts, which are like, I like helping people. I like doing that. So when I put my value in them and they aren't received well, then it's like, well, they don't like me, or whatever my pride, ego, brain wants to say. So it's like, have you ever been around someone who's offended by a kid? It's so weird to me. I used to be like that. Like, when my cousin was little and she didn't want me to play with her, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm awesome. You should. But I have kids and I'm like, you literally can't be offended by a child. Like, my niece will literally not hug me or give me, she's 18 months old and she's a stinker. Like, she comes to my house, or I go to her house, or I go to my mom's house, and she'll see me and shake her head no. And then she'll see my son and shake her head no. And then she'll see my daughter and she, like, lights up. Like, that's her best friend. Yeah. And it's so sweet. But sometimes I'm like, you come here right now. And she's like, no. And she'll run off to my daughter. I'm like, she's 18 months old. So I'm like, I don't actually like, oh no, she doesn't love me. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm awesome. Yeah. Like, but I can't put my value in her not wanting to hug me.
Well, and the thing is, you could have your own kids.
Yeah, it happens. Laurel told me the other day, like, please don't come check on me in class anymore. It's embarrassing. I was like, okay. I'm still going to do it because you told me it was embarrassing. Right. I'm going to embarrass you.
My battery is running low.
I know. We probably should wrap this up. I feel like sometimes I'm like, oh, this will be a quick chat. And then an hour later, we're still like, still can keep going. That's okay. I think we have like a good.
Yeah.
I think it's good to remember self-awareness helps you battle ego.
Yep.
It makes an ego like a separate part of you. So then you feel like two people living inside of one brain, but you're not. You're just like you're trying to shift your thoughts to what you really want them to be versus the ego and the pride, the arrogance, all those things.
Yep. You're trying to integrate.
Yes. And motherhood will break you in the best
ways.
Yes. So I think these are all good things. I think we can wrap it up. There's no bow for this episode. There's no pretty bow. Because this is a learning process that we haven't come through on the other side.
But we're glad y'all are joining in.
Yes. Like we said in the first episode, this is like eavesdropping. Yeah. We want you to do it.
As we process through life.
Yeah. Audibly processing through things. So, okay. Well, I told Lauren that I wanted to go back to saying what I said when it was just me, which was like a mantra I had for myself, which was I love you and stay awkward. Because it's this is awkward. Like having these conversations they're easy
until we realize this is going on the internet.
Yeah, I actually try to pretend like that's not happening, and just the fact that we're being recorded is weird. And then I watch myself and I'm like, why was I making that face? Is that my face? Why do I look like that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I cheat, and I usually just go back and listen
and
have other things pulled up while I'm typing up like show notes or like processing through stuff. And I also try not to listen to my voice too much because I'm like, do I really sound that way?
I actually sometimes will listen, and I was editing the other night, and Jeff's like, "Why are you laughing?" I was like, "Because me and Lauren are hilarious." And he was like, "Okay, whatever." So
we are.
We're amazing. I'm glad y'all enjoy us.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we love you, and we'll talk to you later.
Awkward.
Yeah, stay awkward.